I can hear you.
How did your first interview go?
Oh, went well. Yeah, Wanda was great. I didn't realize she was Canadian. So am I.
Yeah, yes, she is. Now, you went to Life, right?
I did. Yeah, yeah. Graduated in '79.
Do
Way
you,
back when.
yeah, did you go to school or do you know Elliot Foster?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Because I think he was in school. That's who got me interested in chiropractic, and I believe that was very close to the same time frame. I
Okay.
have to ask him when he graduated, but I know he went to
Okay.
Life, and I know it. Well, when did the school start?
Oh, it was '77. That was the
So,
first year.
okay, so it's maybe you're a little bit before him then maybe that's what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, any questions for me?
No, I think I'm good. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to talk about 7 essentials and why I do what I do, and basically it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That sounds good.
And it's about 30 minutes?
Yeah, yeah, we can if we can do it in 30 minutes, that'd be fantastic. I don't expect it to be much longer than that, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you lead the way, and
All right,
I'm ready when you are.
great, thanks. Hello and welcome back. I am your host, Dr. Noah DeCoyer from the Center of Epigenetic Expression, and you are listening to the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. Today our guest is Dr. Veronique Desaulniers, better known as Dr. V. She has maintained a successful practice in the wellness field since 1979. Because of her passion for health and wellness, Dr. V undertook extensive studies in various fields of energy medicine, specializing in chiropractic, bioenergetics, meridian stress analysis, homeopathy, and digital thermography. Dr. V brings a unique approach to health and wellness. After 30 years in active practice, she decided to quote unquote retire and devote her time sharing her personal, non toxic healing journey with breast cancer. Her years of experience and research have culminated as the Seven Essentials, a step by step coaching program. Dr. V is a #1 best-selling author and has a #1 best-selling book on Amazon, Heal Breast Cancer Naturally. Her website and her personal healing journey has touched the lives of thousands of women around the globe. Hello, Dr. V, how are you today?
Hi, Dr. Noah. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a special treat from me as well. Listen, Dr. V, you're a bioenergetic chiropractor. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and the type of practice you had?
Well, I graduated from Life in 1979 and was so excited about bringing wellness to the world. I really was so passionate about that from a very young age. And I was rocking and rolling in practice. And in 1983, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And that was just one of those really gut wrenching moments because I knew how powerful the body was in its ability to heal and reverse disease, but the doctors basically sent him home to die, gave him no hope, and he was gone in 6 weeks. And during that time period, I just, my gut told me that, there's something's missing here. So back then, no internet. So went to the library, started doing research, called a few natural cancer clinics, which were few and far between back then, and came to realize that there were things that could be done to help reverse cancer and heal the body. But unfortunately for my father, it was too late. But that really lit another fire for me. It just made me realize, this information needed to be told. People needed to know about this. So I went back to my practice and really started applying those principles, started using bioenergetic medicine, which means basically using an instrument that helped to balance the meridians and testing different energy points on the body, using naturopathy, homeopathy, nutrition, really helping to change people's lifestyles, and was seeing amazing results. Things like MS being reversed, and rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus, and all these things being confirmed with blood work. Cancer reversing, just amazing things. And it just, made me realize that if you give the body what it needs and you make informed decisions and you take responsibility for your health, things can really heal. But then in 2004, as I'm, getting ready for work, and I'd been in practice about 25 years, was in the shower, did a self breast exam, and bam, it was like, oh, that's not right. And I just knew that there was something, unhealthy. It was not benign. My gut told me it wasn't right. So there began my breast cancer journey. And the gnawing question for me as I was going through my healing journey was, if someone like me who was informed and who I thought was living such a great lifestyle, I thought I was doing everything right. I ate organic before organic was in style. I was under chiropractic care. I exercised. I had home births, breastfed my children, massage, supplements, nutrition. I mean, you name it, I was doing everything right. But, if somebody like me could develop breast cancer, how much more so for the average woman out there who really didn't make informed decisions about her health. And so that really got me thinking, because it was challenging. It was frustrating for me. Where do I start? What do I do? There's so much. It was easy to heal and teach other people, but when it came to my own personal journey, it was really, I had to dig deep and I had to look deep. And so that's when I decided to create the 7 essentials, 7 basic steps that if you follow, you never have to worry about healing. You don't never have to worry about having dis-ease or reversing serious illnesses like cancer again, because a lot of this can be prevented.
Now, breast cancer conqueror movement, that's separate from the 7 essentials, or is that something that's just is aligned with what we're talking about here?
It's aligned. Breast Cancer Conqueror was basically a platform after I, quote unquote, retired after being in practice for 30 years. I just started sharing my personal healing journey, and I had this little rinky-dink website. I didn't know what I was doing, and one thing led to another, and I incorporated. Women would come to me and say, "What do I do? Where do I start?" I discovered I have breast cancer, and they want to cut my breasts off and give me chemo and radiation, and I don't want to do that. What do I do? So I started teaching, the 7 essentials, the 7 basic steps, and one thing led to another, and now I've coached women in 19 countries around the world. We've had millions of hits on our website, #1 best-selling book. It's really serving a need out there. And unfortunately, with cancer statistics the way they are, we know that, 1 in 3 women are going to develop some form of cancer in their lifetime. So it's been a very helpful tool to use for women.
Yes. Now, are you comfortable with speaking about how you healed yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how about outlaying that for our audience? Because I think they want to hear that and they should hear that.
Sure. So some of the big factors for me, I had certain things that I was doing right, obviously, with my lifestyle. But the big things that I found out that were missing for me, I was very iodine deficient. And we know that iodine is extremely important when it comes to breast health and thyroid health. I was very sensitive to electropollution. Little did I know that all the hours I spent on the cell phone or in front of the computer or with the Wi-Fi, all these things were affecting me and were really compromising my immune system. I had a cavitation. Cavitation is basically when you get a tooth extracted and the socket is not properly healed and the periodontal ligaments are not properly removed, it closes up and it creates an infection in the bone, and that infection leaches very deadly toxic bacteria. And if it relates specifically to a particular meridian in the body, it can weaken that organ. And interestingly, mine was on that left breast meridian. So I had that worked on and cleaned up. And then a big piece of the puzzle for me was that essential #4, heal your emotional wounds. I was, super Dr. V. I could do it all. I was super mom, super doc, doing everything that I could to have a great life. But at the same time, I didn't take the time to heal my emotional wounds and look at the childhood issues that may have caused me to live, life in an adult body, but I still had a lot of emotional wounds that I had not dealt with and healed, sexual abuse, for example. And so really learning to manage my stress and calming my body down and learning to love myself and nurture myself, those were very, very important. And learning to love life and and just, taking the time to really slow things down and manage my stress. So those were some of the things that I had to work on. And I did a lot of juicing. I did a lot of homeopathics. I did high dose proteolytic enzymes, which help to weaken the protein coating on the cancer cells. I did bloodroot internally and externally. I did use something called black salve. And I would, warn your audience not to try this at home without supervision of a doctor, and, don't experiment with it. Unfortunately, that's something that I did. I had no idea what I was doing and slapped this salve on the tumor. And a few weeks later, I had this huge crater coming out of my breast, and I, had no idea what was happening. The good news is I ended up hooking up with a doctor who was very familiar with the process, and he helped me through it. And I basically extracted the tumor. The tumor just fell out of the breast. And there's a YouTube video you can look at called Black Salve Fact or Fiction that you can Google and look at if you're curious about that. But again, it's not something that you play with because it's very painful and can be very dangerous procedure if it's not done properly. And so that's basically it in a nutshell. In 2 years, with retesting and thermography, I've kept a pulse on my health, and everything's good so far.
So zero traditional route, no mammography, no lumpectomy, no chemo, no radiation, nothing.
Nothing, no.
Wow.
And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. Given the proper nutrients, because cancer can't grow in a healthy body. If something is happening in your body and you've got cancer, it's because something's out of a balance. And that's where I use the 7 Essential system to use that as a checklist. Let's check your nutrition. Let's check your toxicity levels, your immune system, your stress level, all those things. And so heal the body and give it what it needs. And it's amazing what it can do.
I agree. Now, before we dive into these 7 essentials, why, in your personal opinion, are cancer rates soaring at an astronomical rate at this present time?
Look at the environment. Look at the stress levels. I mean, we can't live in a bubble, but we have to accept the fact that we live in a very toxic world. Even if we try to eat organic foods, we're still getting toxic fumes from the rain and, the chemicals from maybe the acreage in the farm next door. I mean, it's impossible to be totally, totally pure. And you look at the stress levels that people are under, and not managing their stress properly. Electropollution to me is a huge issue that people are not aware of. You don't feel it, you don't taste it, you don't see it. You just take it for granted that we have Wi-Fi everywhere, cell phones everywhere, faster, stronger things. We're in front of computers, electronics all day. But if you look at a report called the bioinitiativereport.org, bioinitiativereport.org, independent study done by 24 scientists all over the world. They looked at data, 10 years of data, and their conclusion, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that EMFs can compromise our immune system. They affect our sleep patterns. They cause cancer. They affect fertility and reproductive issues. They affect our cognitive abilities to concentrate. I mean, we can't put our head in the sand about this. It's a serious problem. And so managing that with technology that helps to neutralize the effects, or just being smart about your cell phone. Don't put it on your body. Don't leave it in your pocket. Don't put it in your bra. Don't use your bra as a cell phone carrier, because I've seen pictures of women with tumors in the shape of the cell phone after carrying using their bra as a cell phone carrier. So there's so many layers to it, and we know it's a serious epidemic. 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women are going to develop cancer in their lifetime, and the numbers are getting worse. And the leading cause of death in children over the age of 1 is cancer, and that's heart-wrenching when you look at these innocent, beautiful little children, and they're suffering immensely because of cancer already.
My God, that's a frightening statistic. Oh boy. Let's switch to something more positive. It seems like
Okay.
uh, this is how you coach people. This is your trademark. Seven essentials. Number one, let food be your medicine. What do you mean by that?
Well, if we just use common sense, we know that what we put in our body is going to affect our health. We need to start looking at food as a prescription for our health. I mean, study after study has shown us that diets that are compromised of lots of cruciferous vegetables and lots of healthy vegetables can decrease your cancer rate by anywhere from 60 to 70%. Study at the University of Montreal where they looked at women's diets, and women who ate 27 different fruits and vegetables in the course of a week had a decreased breast cancer risk by 73%. The standard American diet, I call it the SAD diet. It's very acidic. It's loaded with sugar. And we know that cancer is fed by sugar. Cancer cells don't breathe oxygen. They breathe through sugar fermentation. And we know that when it comes to sugar, cancer cells get fed first. Well, how do we know that for sure? If you've had a PET scan, or of somebody who's had a PET scan. They inject you with radioactive glucose, let you sit for 30 minutes, run you through a scan. What lights up first? Cancer cells, because they get fed first, because they have more insulin receptor sites than healthy cells. So they gobble up the cancer and continue to grow. And we know that lots of insulin and insulin growth factors can really be powerful messengers for increased cellular growth. It depresses your immune system. It increases your risk of cancer. Stay away from GMO and processed foods. I mean, we know that genetically modified foods cause all kinds of immune reactions. Commercial dairy products, loaded with pesticides, herbicides, hormones that can trigger cancer. Stay away from plastic bottles. Don't drink water that's sat in a plastic bottle for a long time because you're leaching lots of BPA, which is very estrogenic. So there's, so many things that you can look at when it comes to food, but there's no one size fits all. It really depends on the type of cancer you have, your age, the health of your gut, your blood type, metabolic type, all these things. But in a nutshell, basically, 80% raw, 80% alkaline. That kind of keeps you in the safe zone.
I'm just writing that down. Thank you. Number two, reduce toxic exposure.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that a bit. There's environmental toxins, there's electropollution, there's household toxins. I mean, the average household has over 1,000 chemicals in their homes that they use to clean or scent, the different sprays, the artificial candles, all those things add up. What you put on your skin, again, the average householder is going to be exposed to over 167 chemicals per day from their skincare products, their hair products, their beauty care products, their lotions, their potions. All those things can increase your risk of cancer. So think about what you're putting on your skin, an antiperspirant, something as simple as that. The aluminum in an antiperspirant is what we call a metalloestrogen. It literally stimulates and mimics estrogen in the body, and you're putting it right in the lymphatic chain of your breast. Parabens, very, very toxic, and they're in most cosmetics and lotions and potions. So, think about what you're putting on your skin and think about what's inside your body. There's simple things that you can do to detoxify and support the liver and the kidneys, coffee enemas to support, the detoxification of the liver and the gallbladder. So, simple things, but can easily be done.
Right. And as we go through these, this is how you coach people, correct? This is your template, correct?
Correct. Yeah. They'll fill out a questionnaire on each of the essentials, and gives us an idea of what they're doing, what they're not doing.
Yeah, thank you. Number three, balancing the energy.
Well, as a fellow chiropractor, you definitely get this, right? We're energetic beings. Our whole body functions on electricity. Our cells communicate to each other with photonic light. And chiropractic is definitely at the top of the list because you're autonomic nerve system controls everything in your body, including your immune system. As a matter of fact, I just blogged a few weeks ago about the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve system. One's the accelerator, the sympathetic is the accelerator, like in a car, and the other one's the brake, the parasympathetic. And if the sympathetic one is on overdrive, which most of us are because of the stress levels, and we're not, you may not be under regular chiropractic care, that's actually going to drive cancer in your body. And it was amazing. It was an article that came out in Nature magazine last fall, but they conclusively have shown us how imbalance in your nerve system can increase your risk for cancer. And so definitely chiropractic care, because people under chiropractic care have a 300% greater immune competence than those who don't. Acupuncture, making sure that you have good restful sleep, because stress and lack of sleep can turn off your cancer protective genes. Exercise, so important in your overall picture of health. Balancing your hormones, making sure that your thyroid's working properly, your female hormones, your testosterone, cortisols, all of those are properly balanced. So lots of things that can go into balancing your energy.
Number 4, and we talked about this a little bit, but I'd like to dive a little deeper. Healing emotional wounds.
Yes. Again, lots of information on that now. We know that there's a connection with your thoughts and how it affects your immune system. And your thoughts can actually affect your DNA. By the thoughts that you think. There was a study done by the Heart Math Institute, and they trained scientists to be able to project their thoughts and to think happy thoughts or negative thoughts. And when they did that, and they tested DNA strands in petri dishes that they had sitting in front of them, they found that when they projected thoughts of anger and frustration and unhappiness and guilt, that the DNA strands contracted, the telomeres, broke off, got shorter, and it really affected the health of that DNA. On the flip side, they projected happy thoughts and joy and love and gratitude and vibrancy and hopefulness, and the DNA, uncontracted, I don't know if that's the right word, but, just relaxed, and they found that, it was functioning properly. And so, your beliefs really can govern your living experience and your physical experience with your health. So, make happy your normal. Just connect with your creator, discover your greater purpose. Remember that cancer is a message of love. And sometimes I kind of get a strange look when I say that, but your body's been whispering to you for a long time, and perhaps you didn't take the time to listen. I know I ignored it for a long time, but if you keep doing the things you've always done, you're going to get the same results. And so a journey with cancer is about healing and transformation, not just the physical aspect, but your emotional, mental, spiritual aspect as well.
One of our friends, and someone that we've interviewed several times, Nikki Gratrix, she talks about ACEs, adverse childhood events.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of the terminology before, but that's her hallmark. And when I interviewed her, it just blew me away. And I don't have the statistics in front of me, but there's incredible research that shows that if you have more of these adverse childhood events, you have much greater risk for everything: heart disease, cancer, depression. It doesn't, and it's astronomical. And the more ACEs you have, the more chance you have to get those diseases. So it really shows you how important emotional wounds are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, one of the things that I had to heal from was sexual abuse and alcoholic parents. And so I totally get that connection.
When I hear you speak, I hear a lot of John DeMartini. Did you do a lot of work with John?
No, I didn't. I read his books, but I never really worked with him.
Okay, just curious. Number 5, mercury-free dentistry.
Yes, biological dentistry. People who have silver fillings in their mouth, well, guess what? They're not silver. They're 50% mercury, and mercury is the most toxic element on the planet. And and you every time you brush your teeth, every time you eat, it's releasing methyl mercury into your body. And if you don't believe me, Google a YouTube video called Smoking Teeth, and there you'll see an image of a dentist rubbing a tooth, an extracted tooth that has a silver filling in it, and you can see the methyl mercury vapors rising from that tooth. It's pretty amazing. So from a chemical point of view, you want to make sure that you have everything that's non-toxic in your mouth, because your teeth are living entities. They're like organs. And they're hooked up to your organs through the acupuncture meridian system. So a root canal, for example, which is extremely toxic because it's like having a dead gallbladder or a dead appendix in your body. And no matter how aseptic you try to make it, it always leaches very dangerous anaerobic bacteria and toxins into your system. So from a chemical point of view, the amalgams and the root canals, but then from an energetic point of view, your teeth are connected to your organs through the acupuncture meridian system, just very similar to reflexology. You have points on your feet that relate to different organs, while your teeth are connected to different organs as well. So if you have a root canal or a mercury filling sitting on your breast meridian or your prostate or whatever organ that may be affected, there can be a relationship there that it's weakening the energy and that organ's ability to detoxify. So work with a biological dentist that is certified and is the real deal. You have to have, real equipment, specific training, and specific ways to work with this. Otherwise, you can really cause some serious problems.
What do you suggest other than a root canal? What's the other option?
Well, I'm not a dentist, but if it were me, I would just pull the tooth. And, there's different things that you can replace it with, non-toxic, non-metallic bridges to just have a tooth there. And sometimes a missing tooth, depending where it is not the end of the world.
Agree. Number 6, repair with therapeutic plants.
So this is, on each of the essentials, we could spend a whole day talking about these. But in my book, for example, there's over 500 cited published studies and references that relate to the effectiveness of what I call tumor terminators. These are plants and plant extracts that have been proven to kill cancer cells or to help boost the immune system and to heal the body. And so there's so many of them, but things as simple as an herb called bloodroot. Bloodroot is something that you can take internally, and I think I mentioned that early on. High doses of proteolytic enzymes. Enzymes are like little Pac-Man in the blood, and your cancer cells have a very thick protein coating, and so the enzymes kind of chew away at that and weaken the cancer cells and make it more vulnerable. Things like poly-MBA, which is a liquid alpha-lipoic palladium liquid mineral that changes the electrical charge of the cancer cells and improves the charge in your healthy cells. Something as simple as powdered, dehydrated, potent broccoli sprouts. Broccoli sprouts have high levels of something called sulforaphane, which inhibits the growth of cancer cells. It suppresses the formation of more blood flow to a tumor. It increases your natural cancer cell, killer cell activity. Curcumin. There's over 200 studies specifically on breast cancer alone when it comes to curcumin. Again, it inhibits the spread. It kills cancer cells. It increases the survival rate. And so something as simple as that. Apricot seeds. Apricot seeds have a sugar-based cyanide in them that is very toxic to cancer cells, but our healthy cells have the enzymes that can detoxify it out of the body. Spirulina, something as simple as 5 teaspoons of spirulina a day is what we call a therapeutic dosage that literally kills cancer cells. Basic nutrients like selenium and zinc, iodine, making sure that your vitamin D levels are up to par. I'm just amazed when I work with these women and they've perhaps worked with oncologists or even other naturopaths, and they're not looking at their vitamin D levels and they're so deficient. And increasing your vitamin D levels alone can increase your risk of survival, or you increase your prevention of developing cancer. So make sure your vitamin D levels are optimal.
What you're doing here is making me want to go out and get your book. I think I'm obviously gonna have to do that. Quick question, and I hope everybody does. Is it on Audible as well? Do I could
It
you?
is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It's
great to hear.
Heal Breast Cancer Naturally, and you can find it on my website or Amazon.
Great. Last one, a very early detection with thermography.
Yes, with thermography and other sensitive blood tests. So the big thing with mammograms is, the bottom line is, after a 25-year study, it was a Canadian study done on over 50,000 women. This was published in February of 2014. Mammograms do not decrease your breast cancer mortality rate at all, not even by 1%. They have not. That's a 25-year study. We know that it takes 5 to 8 years for a tumor to be seen on a mammogram, according to the American Cancer Society. However, there's technology out there. One of those tools is thermography, which cannot diagnose cancer, but it can give you an idea of any type of physiological changes that may be going on in your breast. So thermography reads infrared heat coming off your body. If there's increased inflammation, because when there's a tumor forming, or if there's hormones that are out of balance, your breast tissue may be inflamed, and that's going to show up as a red spot on a thermographic image. Now, is thermography 100% accurate? No, it's 97% accurate. I've seen examples where it wasn't picked up, but I've also seen many examples of mammograms where nothing was picked up, but it was obviously picked up on a thermogram. So thermography is a great tool to use for prevention. And then there's specific blood tests that you can do. One of the tests that I recommend, if people just want to know if they have cancer, if they're suspicious, maybe they have symptoms, maybe thermography showed something suspicious, is something called the oncoblot test. Cancer cells give off a specific protein called the ENOX2 protein. And with this blood test, you can determine 27 different types of cancers in your body. So it'll tell you if you have cancer and where. So that's always a good place to start if you're not sure about, even if you have cancer. Then there's tests like the nagalase test. Nagalase is an enzyme that cancer cells give off that puts your immune system to sleep. So if you have high levels of nagalase, you may have cancer cells floating around, or you may have, very high viral load as well. There's something called the Greece test, which you have the blood drawn and it goes to the country of Greece, and they filter the blood and they count circulating tumor cells. And they can grow those cells in petri dishes and then dose natural extracts to see which extracts work best on killing the cancer cells. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of your protocol if you do have cancer. It's a great tool. I've been using it for several years and seeing amazing results with it. So if you're not sure if you have cancer, there's things that you can do. If you're on a healing journey, make sure you don't guess about what you need to do to heal. Get some specific testing like the Grease test. And thirdly, if you've been through the cancer journey and you're told that you are quote unquote cancer free because you have a clear scan or your traditional blood markers are good, don't rely on those, because that's not the end of the story. What you want to do is make sure that your circulating tumor cells are extremely low, 0 to 1, and you want to make sure that the stem cell markers, which are the baby cancer cells that drive the cancer anyway, are mostly negative and not positive. That's when you can say that you're truly cancer-free.
Incredible information. Now, we know that everybody needs to get your book, but how else can people get in touch with you?
And they can go to the website, Breast Cancer Conqueror, CONQUEROR.com. And there's some contact forms you can fill out. You can find us on Facebook. I have, some coaches, certified coaches that can help guide you in the direction as to, which programs may work best for you.
Great. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Do you have any last words?
The parting words I always like to use are, you have time. If you have been diagnosed with cancer, you don't have to figure everything out in a week. Give yourself some time to really think about what your options are. Do your research, talk to different cancer coaches, find out what your options are. And, if you're on that healing journey, whether it's a preventive or a healing journey, sometimes things get a little shaky. You may be a little, worried. You may be, not sure how things are going to turn out, but it's, this proverb that I like to use is just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly. And so a lot of us are in that cocoon phase where, it's dark, it's lonely, we're not sure what's going to happen next. But if we trust the process, if we trust the laws of nature and the laws of the universe, and we really take responsibility for our health, we can come out on the other side a much happier, healthier, and more vibrant person.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you again, Dr. V.
Thanks, Dr. Noah.
My pleasure. You can sign up for our incredible weekly email at www.centerforepigeneticexpression.com. And please let me encourage you to check out our first project / summit at www.painreliefproject.com. Our next project, the Longevity and Anti-Aging Project, will be released June 6th through the 13th, where you can hear more from Dr. V, and you can sign up as an early bird at www.antiagingproject.com. Lastly, help us help you in an even greater manner by giving us a review on iTunes. Thank you, and as my oldest son Hayden says, be awesome and never unawesome.
That's great.
Thank you. I'll be buying your book today for certain, or I'll listen to it like I do mostly.
Sure.
But it sounded great. You're great. I mean, you're obviously a pro, and this is obviously your passion. But it was a great interview.
Well, thank you.
We will let you know when it's being released. I'm not sure. Mike takes care of all of that, but I suspect it'll be out before the summit.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me know, and I'm definitely gonna, post it in the newsletter and Facebook, and I'll be signing up as an affiliate for the Longevity Summit and get that rocking and rolling as well.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Yeah, you too. Thanks, Noah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.